One people, one voice, one purpose, one choice. Here we go again. Yeah, I'm going to get on this political soapbox, this arena of hypocrisy, this arena of capitalism, this arena of dictatorship within a democracy, this arena with depleting civil rights, civil liberties, and what we call and define as true freedom. Friend of mine on Facebook, and I won't call his name because he is a friend, but we gotta truly, and I mean this with all sincerity and from the depth of my heart and soul, we have to understand you look at one man, and because this man is the president right now, I'm talking about Obama, and you think he personifies politics, you think he depicts everything that goes on Capitol Hill, what goes on in the Senate, what goes on in the House of Representatives, what goes on within the Supreme Court, what goes on in the other sectors of this governmental infrastructure, from state to state to city, all the way down to local politics. If you do, then I think you need to take a serious look of what education is, and take a serious look in what you believe this political infrastructure is made up to be. They label this man everything in the book. Called the man a terrorist, called the man Hitler, called the man a bullshitter, called the man everything out there. But let me explain something to all of you who are on this anti-Obama bandwagon. With all the other presidents who preceded him, what are they? Did they not too have the same position he has? And let's even go a step further. Your founding forefathers, who so-called made up this government, who so-called the reason why you made a flag, why you have a constitution, why you have a preamble, why you have laws, why you have a so-called democracy, was because of these men. And tell me this, how many of those men had a black face? So if all this proverbial bullshit you talking about that Obama is, does he not mimic these people too? And what do you call them? See, this is the sad part about people in America. Why I call you people mindless zombies. Because you'll never get it. You'll never understand. Or even perceive in that head of yours. It's more than what you see every day. It's more than what you can ever understand. It's not Obama. Come on, man. Really? You think it's Obama? You think Obama make things happen? That's one man, baby. And what people will never realize, that what you don't see with this is what really goes on in America. And the whole conspiracy about the secret societies, the Illuminati, the Catholic Church, the Ghoul, John Birch Society, all these little secret organizations that you don't hear about. But their purpose is in achieving what they have for decades, even centuries. To keep you all mindless zombies. Because you concentrate on what you see with this. You see a black face in the White House, it's the worst thing could ever happen to this country. But you don't see the white faces that pretty much defines what's really going on for the last century or so. See, that's why I don't get it. I don't get really how people think. I really don't. And you know something? It's not that hard. It's not that hard to think. It's not that hard to put 2 and 2 together. And it's what? It's 4. 1 and 1 together. Okay? It's 2. 5 and 5 together. It's 10. I mean, is it so hard to really think? You know? That you think one man but you only see in a one-dimensional view. Not multi-dimensional where it spreads out. You don't ever think about that you live in a country that's not even yours. That you place your bigotry here, that you place your racism here, that you place your ideologies of what you define as the American dream here, that you place an infrastructure of corruption and the filth of wealth and greed here, that you set up a hypocritical justice system here with an example of a blinded woman holding a balance of a corrupted court system here, that you set up your major cities here, and it never was your home, that you didn't ask to be here, that you just took it from an innocent, peaceful people. But you don't see that. You see a black face in the White House, and that bothers you. That just somehow just pisses you off to no end. And you say this man caused everything that's going on today. And if that's your definition, then I question your mentality. I question you as a man and a woman. That you truly somehow in your past, sitting in that proverbial classroom, you haven't learned a damn thing. It just all went over your head. And you think that behind him, like the House of Representatives, that fight tooth and nail against him, like the Supreme Court, like the lawmakers. That block everything that he tried to do to engage in the transition of getting America back on her feet. But you don't see that. You just see this. But you don't see the white faces that fabricated a war, that you lost your mothers, your sons, and your daughters to a war they knew they couldn't win. Or even for any intents and purposes was a war in the beginning. But a fabrication. Off of a fabrication of a terrorist attack. For pretty much in what we've done in this country all our lives. And that is the stealing of resources. I said it before, and that's why I'm laughing. I said it before. If you stole, this is the point. Get this. Put your thinking caps on and get this. If you stole from the beginning to call yourself a country, and you're still stealing, what the hell? What are we? What do you call a person that steals? Thieves. But Bush, Reagan, Carter, Clinton, were these guys black? Why are your brain senses so deadened by color? By this word, ethnocentric ignorance. What part of this you people just don't get? You just don't get it. It started with the American Indian. And every culture we're at war with. And this is what I don't get. This is what I don't wrap my head around. Every war that we engaged with in the past and in the future are people of color. What is it with your obsession with people of color? Tell me this. I want someone on Facebook, Twitter, Google, or whatever. What is America's obsession with people of color? That's what I want to know. And we ain't talking about just African American. We're talking about Spanish people. We're talking about Arabs. We're talking about Asians. We're talking about Japanese. We're talking about Haitians. People of color. You don't war against people the same color that you are, white society. And don't think it's a racial thing. It's not. It's a racial thing to you, not to me, not to other people of color that you attack, that you drop drones on, that you drop bombs on, that you took your military years ago in genocide. But you sit on Facebook and Twitter and rail against a man because his skin is different than yours. And you know something? If it was a Spanish man, you would do the self-same thing. If it was a Japanese man, you would do the same thing. If it was a Haitian man, you would do the same thing. If it was an Arab man, you do the same thing. You know why? Because America has an obsession with people of color. Yet and still you jumped on this bandwagon with Romney. Oh, he's the savior. Yeah, we live in an economy that is depleting. Unemployment is so high, and we can't survive. You know, if this black man gets elected for another 4 years. But you never looked into this man's past. You just jumped on that bandwagon because you just didn't want a black man in office for another 4 years. You don't care. Satan himself could have went up there and ran for president. You would have voted for him. The biggest racist, bigoted out here could ran against Obama. You would have voted for him. Because you don't use this. You just use this. That's been a major problem in this society since day one when you created this government. This major hypocritical, bigoted, racist infrastructure. I'm sorry. I have to call it what it is. But you know why? Because you're guilt-ridden on what you did to the true Americans, the true Native Americans in this country. And you carry that guilt for decades and centuries. Why you have an obsession with people of color. I told you, I talk about subjects people are afraid to talk about. People are too much of a coward, too spineless to talk about, to tell the truth. Had nothing to do with black people. Black people were an afterthought for what you did to the American Indian. And the crazy part of that is that you genocide these people and you carry no guilt. You carry no remorse. And you raise a flag that you conquered. As a victory. When it's no more than an unethical, immoral, humanitarian crime that you yet have to pay for it, but will. So when all you get on this bandwagon about Obama, take a look back in history. Obama is minuscule. Minuscule in the devastation these other morons and idiots, his predecessors, the so-called founders of this country, have imposed upon the people in this country. You get that straight, then you come talk to me. You get that straight, then you stand before me and you talk to me about Obama. Now we're hearing that we're going to go in Africa and do the same thing that you did in Iraq. People of color. And even the wars in the future will be against people of color. And until you come grips with that, America, with the truth, no, I don't want anything to have to do with it. I'm sorry. Why I do what I do? Why I make the videos the way I do? Because I love this country. I love this country when it was a country. When people meant something. Like I made in my other previous videos. When men were women and women were women. Or men were men and women were women. Not men were women and women were men. Sometimes I get fed up. Sometimes I just say, pretty much like George Carlin, they never get it. They'll never get it. You see what the banking industry done. You see what Wall Street have done. You see what the military is doing. You see what the infrastructures that make the weapons of destruction for the military have done. You see what the lawmakers are doing. You see what the NRA is doing. IRS is doing. I talk about the state that I'm from, up in North Jersey. The level of corruption that has infested that state. No, but we're not worried about that. We're just worried about this black man in office. You're not worrying about $4.2 billion annually that's lost in child tax credit fraud. Well, the illegal Mexicans sending money to their kids, claiming their kids as dependents here in this country and living in Mexico. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the millions of dollars they robbed from Social Security. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about how the motor vehicle department has a scam that illegals buy driver's license. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the welfare system that we feed these people, that we give these people all the social programs that we won't give Americans. No, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about a black man in office. No, we won't talk about how the guns in this country kills more damn people than any war that we ever been in. No, but we don't talk about that. That means we have to confront the NRA about their war crimes. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about how we drop drones, bombs on innocent women and children. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about why we have cameras on our highways, on our streets. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that we micro-implant to keep track of our citizens. No, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the Illuminati, the Ghoul, John Birch Society, and other racist, bigoted groups that pretty much pulled the string of this infrastructure we call government. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that since the 1800s. This country was broke. And now it's owned by the United Nations as a corporation. But we won't talk about that. That's what I'm talking about. That the American people, excuse my expression, you're a bunch of mindless zombies. Because you use these. Still sit in front of that proverbial idiot tube and believing you're hearing the truth. If you say you love this country If you say you are true patriots, and it ain't got a damn thing to do with the Patriot Act, that's no more than giving permission to spy on people. It ain't about a bunch of bigoted rednecks getting together calling themselves a Tea Party. Or a bunch of bigoted racist pigs called Fox News. If this is your evidence, if this is the information that you want to sit and embrace and hate a black man in office because he's president, you go right ahead. And pretty much, I'll be the one to educate you. I'll be the one to make videos on YouTube and telling you how idiotic and ignorant you are of the truth. Why they still rob you blind. Why you still pay taxes. Not an income tax, but a wage tax. Why we fought so much against the English of the Tea Party, of taxation. And the very thing we fought against, we're victimized by. But you keep watching Obama. The reason why these secret organizations have you all so infested in all the drama of propaganda, and always have for decades and centuries. If you only knew the truth. As they say, in that one movie, you couldn't handle the truth. You couldn't handle the truth. But you can. I love it. I really do. Don't get me wrong. I love you people. I really do. I love this country. I'd give my life for this country. I'd pick up my weapon and go to war. But first, it has to be a real war. See, that's the difference with me. I'll be the first one on the front line, baby. With my M16 or M17 or M18 or M50. If it was a real war. You showed me any war in the past since World War II. That was a real war. Vietnam? Desert Storm? You feel me now, huh? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. As much as is it hard to use this, I make you think. There are those who made transition in this country. John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy. That lady who's just become part of what is the Senate or House of Representatives, one or the other. People like her. The House of Representatives. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Harriet Tubman, people with true ethical moral fiber who have given their lives so I can say what I say, so I can address issues like I address. And you think a bunch of idiotic, delusional, bipolar, wig-wearing idiots personifies justice? Okay. There's a bridge in New York I'll sell you for $1. If you can believe that one. No. I just It tickles me. It does. I'm sorry. It's humorous. It's like watching a comedy show when I look on the news. That's why I watch very little TV. I just do. I used to be a TV buff, baby. Don't get me wrong. I love my movies. But I watch very little TV anymore. Because you ain't polluting this. You're just not. I'm like this. Finding information, baby. That's me. Finding information. Keeping my eyes open. Keeping my ears open. Keeping my heart and soul open to what truly goes on. And I have friends in high places that you don't know about that I get my information from. So you keep your phones, your iPods, your laptops, keep them popping. Let them monitor you. Let them peer from outer space into your house. And when you finally get it, that black face that happens to be in the White House, you know, and it's not all about him. You begin to know what it's really about. It's those organizations you don't see. Those organizations that wear crowns on their heads and has endless wealth to buy anybody, anything they want. And until you get that, you still remain mindless zombies in America. Truth. I'm out.